Oh, and welcome to day 7 and 8 of 31 Days of Horror. Thank you for watching again. I'm back from Cinema Wasteland, and I have a couple of movies to review. We're doing two today because I was tired yesterday, and I won't do this again, but I kind of skipped today. So we're going to do two. And I did watch this first one I'm going to review. I did watch this one yesterday, so it counts. Okay? All right, good. Um, Also, a little trivia here. Well, not really trivia, more like a little interesting thing happened while we were at Cinema Wasteland. Tom Savini smashed his nuts on a table. I'm getting this from a first-hand account. Uh, I want to say, get well soon, Tom Savini. Um, Sorry you crushed your nuts on a table, and I hope you get better soon. Anyway, back to the movie. Number one, Dead Dudes in the House. This movie was made in like 1988. Troma picked it up in 1991. It was originally titled The Dead Come Home, which is a much better title than Dead Dudes in the House, but for some inexplicable reason, Troma took the movie and slapped on a bunch of actors like that look it looks like the cover of New Kids on the Block or something, and even the lettering is the same, and they decided to call it Dead Dudes in the House, which, yeah, there are dead dudes in this house, but there are also dead ladies, and a dead or evil or possessed old lady that is killing everybody. Anyway, we can forget that. You can find this movie fairly easily. My friend found it at Wasteland, but you can also find it on Amazon. I believe that's where I started watching it last year and kind of gave up. It was because of the combination of that cover with all the guys going like this, and they have like a knife, or they're like, "Oh, it's the '90s," and it the beginning of the film is kind of slow, and those two things made me not want to finish this movie. I don't know who does the marketing, but that did not look good, and it made me give up. Anyway, this film, very, very much fun. It starts off with a group of teens coming to an old, decrepit house, very creepy looking, and they're there for the purpose of renovating it for somebody or something, and then spooky things start happening. There's an old lady who just kind of shows up out of nowhere and just looks at them and creeps them the fuck out. Um, what's great about this old creepy lady is she just comes out of nowhere, and it's like there is no like real kind of suspense with her. She just comes straight up to them. It's just like, "Arr," and then goes away, and then like I said, the first part of it is hard to get through because all they're doing is first they get into the house, and that takes forever because they have to like the door won't work, and then they're in the house, they're arguing more, and then they try to get into another room, and that door won't work, and then that just kind of goes on and on forever, and the acting is just terrible. It's just from the beginning, it's just really bad. By the way, this is Devo. This is the B Movie Euphoria official cat, Devo, and so they're just trying to get into different rooms, and it gets really annoying. And then she finally comes out of nowhere, kills one of them, and as soon as she kills somebody, they come back to life, super evil, and then those people start killing people, and then it's just gore fest after that. It's just a lot of fun. Unfortunate title, but extremely gory, fun goofiness up until the end. And if you can stay for that first like 15 minutes that are just really rough, then you will have a great movie for the other 45 or however many. Um, no, that makes it an hour long. You'll have a good time, basically. Anyway, so the dead come home, or dead dudes in the house, or house on uh, Tombstone Hill. I highly recommend it. It should be easy to find. You should watch it if you like gore, if you like um, kind of Night of the Demons style spooky house movies. Anyway, next film we are going to review was a surprise to me because I picked it up for $2 at Wasteland, not knowing what to expect, only seeing the cover and reading a little bit of the back, and it sounded really good. And I didn't think I was going to do any black and white films, but I mean, I guess I just didn't think I would because, I mean, I'm a fan of 80s, 90s, horror, 70s as well, and I thought it was all going to kind of be in that range. But now I'm thinking maybe some older films. I know they tend to not, grasp the interest as the other films do, but this one I highly recommend. The movie we watched today is Strangler of the Swamp. Yes. So this one was very, very atmospheric, very freaky. And yes, it was black and white. Yes, it had slow moments. And it's a little dated, I guess you could say. But sometimes films just, it doesn't matter what year it's from. It doesn't matter, like, what time period or what is going on. It's just scary, and it's always going to be scary. And this is one of those films. So this came out in 1946, directed by Frank Wisbar, who came from Germany, and he was a German expressionistic filmmaker, and he made a film very similar to this, which translated into basically Ferryman Maria in his homeland. He made this, that was his last film in Germany, and that was right when the Third Reich was like kind of taking control of film at that point, and all the German expressionists were kind of forced to flee because the Reich was like, nah! And so fuck them, by the way. And so he fled to America, and his career never really lifted off, but he did manage to make a couple fairly good movies, and this is absolutely one of them. This is basically his remake of Ferryman Maria. And so it's all about this village that's right next to a swamp, and to get from one edge of the village to the other, you have to cross this swamp, basically, and there's a ferryman. And years ago, this ferryman was accused of a murder, and by the townspeople, and the townspeople gathered together and found him guilty, and they hung him together. Turns out this ferryman was innocent, and so he is now in a ghostly form taking his slow, painful revenge on the actual people themselves or their ancestors. And that doesn't really matter because, I mean, it's not even really touched on, but what really matters is the atmosphere of this swamp and the constant just like flow of the fog and the trees that are coming in from anywhere. And you just can't, you don't know where anything is. And there are constantly these scenes of people being taken back and forth from different edges of the swamp. And like the trees are overhanging and you never know what's there. And the townspeople are always scared. And they know that there's a curse on them because the ferryman said right before he was hung that he would be back and he would kill everyone. And these are all old tropes, and these are all like things that you've seen 100 times before, but this one is done so well. When the ferryman comes back, his image is just dark, and you can never see his face, but his eyes are black. And when he reaches out for his victims, it is terrifying. Like, I've seen tons of horror films, and this scared the shit out of me. And that is a testament to how good this movie is and how well made it was, and what an excellent filmmaker this guy was. And yet another thing that the fucking Nazis ruined. They had to take over German cinema and kick out all the really interesting artists, and they fucked this guy over. He had to work on what is called Poverty Lane, and he still made films, but they were all like super cheap. And it's just a real shame, because this is one of the scariest, spookiest films I've seen in a while. The ending, as in the ending of Ferryman Maria, it gets a little religious at the ending, which, that's fine. I would have preferred the ferryman to come out and at the very end, but I mean, I can understand. This is a different kind of film. It's more about atmosphere and slow, freaky scares and everything like that. So that I get, and the religious aspect, you can kind of just, okay, that's fine. But no, I highly recommend this. It's a lot of fun. It's out there. It's one of the most creepiest atmospheric ghost stories I've seen in a very long time. Out of this and Dead Dudes in the House, this definitely wins. But there you have it. Day 7 and 8, lumped them together, made it work. I recommend both of those movies. I'm pretty happy. We're like on a nice little roll here of decent films. But usually that means that there's a bad one coming. Anyway, I will see you tomorrow. Thanks for watching yet again. 31 Days of Horror. I'll see you tomorrow.